What happens when a team on a 6-game winning streak faces the worst team in the NBA with history on the line? What happens when the Toronto Raptors get a chance to do something they've never done before in the NBA Cup? And what happens when Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram, RJ Barrett, and the entire squad decide they're not just going to win, they're going to send a message to the entire league? The answer is absolute, complete, total domination. We're talking 140 to 110. We're talking a franchise record 48 points in the third quarter. We're talking about the Toronto Raptors becoming the first team, not just in the East, but in the entire NBA, to clinch a spot in the NBA Cup knockout rounds. This is insane. This is historic. And honestly, this is exactly what Raptors Nation has been waiting for. What's up, Raptors Nation? Quick Court coming in hot with the most electrifying performance of the NBA Cup so far. Man, I am fired up right now because what we just witnessed wasn't just a win, it was a statement. It was the Raptors telling the rest of the league, we're not here to participate, we're here to dominate. I love you all for being here. And I gotta ask you right now, did you ever think at the start of this season that we'd be sitting at 11-5, second in the Eastern Conference, winners of 6 straight, and the first team to punch our ticket to the NBA Cup quarterfinals? Drop your thoughts in the comments because I want to hear how hyped you are. And listen, stick around until the end of this video because we're going to break down why this win means so much more than just another W. We're talking about rotations, crystallizing, defensive identity, and a third quarter performance that will go down in Raptors history. If you haven't subscribed yet, smash that subscribe button right now because you're not going to want to miss what's coming next for this team. Let me set the scene for you. Coming into Friday night, the Raptors were 10-5, riding a 5-game winning streak and sitting pretty in second place in the Eastern Conference. But this wasn't just another regular season game against the struggling Washington Wizards. This was about the NBA Cup, a tournament that the Raptors had never advanced past the group stage in since it started. The formula was simple: beat Washington and hope Indiana loses to Cleveland. If both things happened, Toronto would become the first team in the entire league to clinch a knockout round spot. No pressure, right? Well, guess what? The basketball gods were smiling on Raptors Nation. Cleveland took care of business against Indiana, beating them 120 to 109. And what did OUR Raptors do? They didn't just win. They destroyed. They annihilated. They put on a clinic that had Washington looking like they'd never played basketball before. How does 140 to 110 sound to you? Because that's exactly what happened. The Raptors didn't just meet the moment, they owned it. And in doing so, they made history. First team, first, in the whole NBA to clinch their spot. While other teams are still sweating out their group stage games, the Raptors are already thinking about Vegas and the quarterfinals. Do you understand how massive that is? The Raptors took the NBA Cup seriously from day one. And it showed. Sandro Mamukelashvili said it perfectly after the game. It feels amazing. And you know what? He's absolutely right. It should feel amazing. Now let me break down how this demolition actually went down, because it wasn't just about offense. In fact, the first half was all about defense. The Raptors came out like zombies, and I mean that in the best way possible. Not the fast, crazy zombies from modern horror movies. No, I'm talking about the old school, slow, relentless zombies that just keep coming and coming until they've consumed everything in their path. Washington couldn't breathe. Every time the Wizards turned around, there was a Raptor in their face. Grady Dick moving his feet through screens. Scotty Barnes guarding the ball with intensity. Emmanuel Quickley coming with timely doubles. This was positional perfection. And then there were the individual moments of brilliance. Sandro Mamukelashvili, who is quickly becoming a fan favorite, picked up what might have been his 3rd or 4th pick 6 of the season. He tipped away a pass, tore down the court at full speed, and finished with an uncontested layup before Washington's defense could even react. The Scotiabank Arena crowd went wild. Brandon Ingram, whose defense has been improving all season, picked up a highlight swat as the weak side helper. Later, he just straight up pickpocketed his man, leading to a Jamal Shed assist going the other way. Ingram is enormous, and when he's locked in defensively like this, he's a problem for opposing offenses. But here's what really stood out to me: the team defense. At one point, Jakob Poeltl bit on a pump fake. His man got a step on him, but you know what happened? Quickly stepped into the lane, forced the Wizard to slow down for just an instant, and that was all Poeltl needed to catch up and contest the shot. Ingram swooped in for the rebound. That possession doesn't show up as anything special in the box score, but that's how championship-level defense works. The Raptors forced Washington into fadeaway jumpers and contested shots all night long. The Wizards, who have the 29th ranked defense in the NBA, couldn't do anything on the other end either. Toronto's offense wasn't firing on all cylinders in the first half. They missed bunnies, they clanged free throws, there were too many zero-pass hero attempts. But you know what? It didn't matter, because the defense was so solid that the Raptors still took a 57-47 lead into halftime. If you're a Raptors fan, how confident does it make you feel knowing this team can win even when the offense isn't clicking? Drop a comment and let me know. Alright, here's where things got ridiculous. The Raptors came out of halftime like they'd been personally insulted. Like Darko Rajakovic walked into that locker room and said, "You know what? 10 points isn't enough. Let's embarrass them." And embarrass them they did. The third quarter was an absolute masterclass. Toronto scored 48 points in 12 minutes. Let me repeat that, 48 points. That's a franchise record for points in a single quarter. Not just this season, not just in recent years, in franchise history. Scottie Barnes was the catalyst. He was unstoppable. Barnes scored 14 points in the third quarter alone, finishing 6 for 7 from the field. He was hitting post hooks. He was draining triples. He was everywhere. Barnes also grabbed 2 steals in the quarter, forcing wild passes and creating chaos for Washington. RJ Barrett added 10 points in the frame, showing why he's been such a crucial addition to this team. Brandon Ingram was slithering to smooth mid-range buckets like it was nothing. Emmanuel quickly was hitting open threes off beautiful ball movement. The offense was humming. But even with all that offensive firepower, the defense didn't let up. Toronto forced 7 turnovers in the third quarter. Jamal Shed was digging into driving lanes. Barnes was coming with blind doubles that forced panic passes straight into Grady Dick's hands. The Wizards had absolutely no answers. By the end of the third quarter, the Raptors led 105-77. 28 points. The game was over. The Wizards looked completely defeated. Their bench outscored their starters 70-40 on the night. That's how bad it got for Washington. And here's the crazy part. It didn't even feel like the Raptors were trying to run up the score. They weren't playing with playoff intensity. They were just that much better than Washington. When good teams play bad teams, this is what happens. Domination. Can we talk about how the Raptors are now shooting 48.3% from three-point range while holding opponents to 29.3%? That's not just good, that's elite. That's championship level stuff. Comment below if you think this team can maintain this level of play. One of the most exciting developments from this game, and really from the last few games, is that Darko Rajakovic's rotation is starting to crystallize. We're seeing clear patterns, clear roles, and clear chemistry. Here's how it works. Jacoby Walter checks in first for Scottie Barnes. Walter focuses on defense and shooting when he's open, while Barnes' usage shifts primarily to quickly. Then Toronto's bench gunners, Shed, Dick, and Mamukelashvili check in, leaving Ingram as the sole starter. That group dials up the pace. Then Barnes checks back in for Ingram, and that group really dials up the pace. Finally, the starters return to close the quarter. And you know what? It all worked perfectly against Washington. The bench group rediscovered that immaculate first half defense, forcing turnovers left and right. But the offense remained dangerous, which is the recipe for a massacre. The lead grew to 20, then 30, and it just kept growing. Sandro Mamukelashvili finished with 23 points, one of 4 Raptors to score 20 or more. That's balanced scoring. That's depth. That's a real team, not just a collection of talented individuals. Mamukelashvili talked after the game about how the coaching staff views him. He said, "I gotta shout out to coach for telling me to be aggressive on defense. I don't think they really view me as a 5, more of a basketball player, which I really appreciate. I know if I can't get that steal, probably Jamal's gonna be there." That's the mentality of a winning team. Everyone knows their role. Everyone trusts each other. Everyone's locked in. Let's talk about what this winning streak means. 6 games in a row, the longest winning streak for the Raptors since February 2022, when they won 8 straight. And you know who's the only player left from that 2022 team? Scottie Barnes. When asked about that streak, Barnes said, "I don't even remember. It feels like a long time ago." And honestly, it does feel like a long time ago. That was a completely different team, a different era of Raptors basketball. But this is the new era. This is the era of Scottie Barnes as the face of the franchise. This is the era of Brandon Ingram providing elite scoring. This is the era of RJ Barrett being a consistent offensive weapon. This is the era of Jakob Poeltl anchoring the defense. This is the era of depth, chemistry, and championship aspirations. The Raptors have now won 10 of their last 11 games. 10 of 11. They're 11-5 on the season. Second in the Eastern Conference behind only the red-hot Detroit Pistons. And they're the first team to clinch a spot in the NBA Cup knockout rounds. Do you realize how insane that is? While teams like the Lakers, the Celtics, the Bucks, all these supposedly better teams are still fighting for their playoff lives in group stage, the Raptors have already clinched. They're already thinking about the quarterfinals, which will be played on either December 9th or 10th. This is what happens when a team takes the tournament seriously from day one. This is what happens when you have buy-in from top to bottom. This is what happens when you have a coach who knows how to manage rotations and a roster that trusts the system. Let me give some love to the individual performances because there were so many standouts. Brandon Ingram, 24 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists on 6 for 1-2 shooting. Ingram has been exactly what this team needed. He's averaging 20.9 points per game on the season and has provided that elite scoring punch game after game. His defense has improved dramatically, and when he's locked in on both ends like he was tonight, he's one of the best two-way players in the league. RJ Barrett, 24 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists on 9 for 1-5 shooting. Barrett has been incredibly consistent, and his ability to get to the rim and finish through contact is crucial for this offense. He's the hometown kid from Mississauga doing big things for his city. Scottie Barnes, 23 points, 14 in the third quarter, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals on 1-0 for 1-5 shooting. Barnes is developing into one of the best defensive players in the NBA. He's averaging 1.7 blocks and 1.4 steals per game this season, both career highs. And when his offense is clicking like it was in that third quarter, he's unstoppable. Sandro Mamukelashvili, 23 points, 7 rebounds on 8 for 1-5 shooting. Mamukelashvili has been a revelation off the bench. The Scotiabank Arena crowd absolutely loves this guy, and for good reason. He plays with energy, he makes winning plays, and he's not afraid of the moment. Emmanuel Quickley, 17 points, 2 rebounds, 7 assists. Quickley is the engine that makes this offense run. His ability to facilitate, his court vision, his decision-making, it's all elite. Jamal Shed, 7 points and 10 assists. Shed didn't need to score to make a massive impact. Those 10 dimes created opportunities all night long, and his defense was pestering Washington's ball handlers constantly. For Washington, CJ McCollum led the way with 20 points, but he was the only starter in double figures. That tells you everything you need to know about how outmatched the Wizards were. Trey Johnson came off the bench with 14 points, but it was nowhere near enough. The Wizards are now 1-14 on the season with 13 consecutive losses. They're 3 losses away from tying their franchise record of 16 straight defeats, which they've done 4 times. While I don't wish failure on any team, the Wizards are clearly in a different place than the Raptors right now. And honestly, Wizards fans should be worried about where this team is headed. So what does this all mean for the Raptors going forward? Let me break it down. First, this team has found an identity. Actually, they found multiple identities. They can win with suffocating defense like they showed in the first half. They can win with explosive offense like that 48-point third quarter. They can win close games. They can win blowouts. That versatility is what separates good teams from great teams. Second, the starters are finally figuring it out. If there was one blemish on Toronto's hot start to the season, it was the play of the starting unit. But over the last handful of games, that's been turning around. The starters are playing with chemistry, with purpose, with excellence. And it's almost impossible to be a great team if your starters are losing their minutes. Third, the bench is loaded. Mamukelashvili, Shed, Dick, Walter, these guys can play. They bring energy, they bring production, and they allow Rajakovic to keep guys fresh throughout the game. That depth is going to be crucial as the season wears on. Fourth, this team is clutch. They showed up when the moment mattered most. They knew what was at stake with the NBA Cup, and they delivered. That mental toughness, that ability to perform under pressure, that's championship DNA. And fifth, the Raptors are sending a message to the rest of the league. Don't sleep on us. We're not a rebuilding team anymore. We're not a team that's just happy to be here. We're contenders. We're coming for everything. The Raptors continue their homestand on Sunday when they host the Brooklyn Nets. Then they've got the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Indiana Pacers coming to town. 3 of their next 4 opponents have a combined 5-38 record. This is a golden opportunity to build on this momentum and make a serious push in the standings. Can the Raptors catch the Detroit Pistons for first place in the East? Can they maintain this defensive intensity? Can they keep 4 guys scoring 20-plus points every night? These are the questions we'll be answering over the next few weeks. Now, some people might say, it's just the NBA Cup. It doesn't really matter. And to those people I say, you're wrong. Dead wrong. Yes, the NBA Cup is relatively new. Yes, it's still finding its place in the basketball landscape. But you know what? It matters to these players. It matters to these coaches. And it should matter to US's fans. Darko Rajakovic spoke before the game about how the NBA Cup could be a good opportunity for a young team to experience deeper game planning and increased intensity in a tournament setting. This is valuable experience for a roster that's still learning how to win together. Remember, the semifinals and finals are in Las Vegas. There's prize money on the line. There's national attention. There's a trophy. And for a team like the Raptors, a team that hasn't won a championship since 2019, every opportunity to compete for hardware is important. Look at the history of in-season tournaments in other leagues, the FA Cup in England, the Copa del Rey in Spain. These tournaments are prestigious, they're taken seriously, and the NBA Cup is heading in that same direction. The Raptors are the first team to clinch this season. That's not nothing. That's a big deal. It shows that this team is serious about winning, about competing, about being excellent every single night. And you know what the best part is? The knockout rounds count toward the regular season record. So even if, God forbid, the Raptors lose in the quarterfinals, it's still a regular season game. There's literally no downside to going all out in this tournament. I want to circle back to the defense for a minute because it deserves more attention. The Raptors didn't just play good defense against Washington, they played LIT, championship caliber defense. Toronto forced 15 turnovers. They held Washington to just 45% shooting from the field and a brutal 29.3% from three-point range. They dominated the glass, out-rebounding the Wizards 48-29. They had 13 steals and 4 blocks. But it's not just about the numbers. It's about the effort. It's about the intensity. It's about 5 guys moving in sync, communicating, rotating, helping, recovering. Rajakovic said it perfectly after the game. Our guys, they respond really well at halftime. It was really defense that ignited all of that. Defense. That's what ignited the third quarter explosion. That's what allowed the offense to get out in transition. That's what broke Washington's spirit. And here's the scary part for the rest of the league. This defense is only going to get better. Bonds is still developing as a defender. Ingram is still finding his rhythm on that end. The chemistry is still building. The rotations are still crystallizing. By the time we get to the playoffs, and yes, I'm already thinking about the playoffs because this team is that good, this defense could be top 5 in the league, maybe even top 3. Comment below, where do you rank the Raptors defense right now? Top 10? Top 5? Let me know. So here we are, Raptors Nation. 6 wins in a row. 11-5 on the season. Second in the Eastern Conference. First team to clinch the NBA Cup knockout rounds. A franchise record 48 points in the third quarter, 4 players with 20-plus points, balanced scoring, lockdown defense, crystallizing rotations. This is what we've been waiting for. This is what we've been building toward. This is the moment when we realize the Toronto Raptors are not rebuilding anymore. They're competing. They're contending. They're winning. And you know what the craziest part is? They're doing it with integrity. They're doing it the right way. They're playing team basketball. They're sharing the ball. They're defending with effort and intelligence. They're buying into the system. They're supporting each other. This is Raptors basketball at its finest, and I am here for it. Now I want to hear from you. What was your favorite moment from this game? Was it Barnes' 14-point third quarter? Was it Mamukelashvili's 23 off the bench? Was it the FORTYEIGHTPOINT quarter? Was it clinching that NBA Cup spot? Drop your answer in the comments right now. And if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, because the Raptors are just getting started and you do not want to miss what's coming next. We've got the Nets on Sunday, and you know Quick Court is going to be here to break it all down for you. But here's my final question for you, and I want you to really think about this. If you were the commissioner of the NBA, what would you do to make the NBA Cup even bigger and more important? More prize money. Make it so the winner gets an automatic playoff spot, home court advantage in the playoffs. Let me know in the comments, because I'm genuinely curious what you all think. Keep repping that red and black, Raptors Nation. Keep believing in this team. Keep trusting the process. Because what we're witnessing right now is special. This team is special. This moment is special. The Toronto Raptors are back, and the rest of the NBA better be ready. Integrity over everything. Excellence over excuses. Raptors Nation, let's go!